If he writes your name, you gonna die. NERDSoul. Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people, today? Oh yeah, we about to get to another wonderful episode of That's Right, Movie Reviews. Not gonna waste your time. We've all had a chance to see it. Hopefully, if not, you're probably checking it out today. Maybe, but we're gonna be talking about Death Note, the movie on Netflix that is adapting the manga and anime of the same name. It's been adapted to film before over in Japan for like 5 or 6 movies already, and now Hollywood, or sort of Hollywood because it's Netflix, is taking its crack at it. So my first impressions are that this movie is pretty okay. It's not bad, it picks up for me. And I enjoyed a lot of the film towards the end of it. It has a slow start, but it definitely built for me. So one of the huge things that I really loved about this was Willem Dafoe's voice as Ryuk. I know that a lot of people they were on the fence about Willem Dafoe's voice. I thought it was great for the character. I think he really brought a very eerie, creepy vibe to it, which really lent a lot of like quality and just, I guess, gravitas, shouts to John Roca, to the film. Like when you hear him speak, when he laughs, like all of that weird, creepy stuff like this are things that really make the film for me. Another thing that makes the film for me is when you get past the kind of slow beginning, because in the beginning, you know, you see the book drop very quick. The whole opening sequence is like almost all slow-mo. You know, the book drops, he finds the book, and you know, he gets sent to detention. But once we get the entry of Ryuk and like just the mystical part of the Death Note, that's when the movie starts to start to travel for us and start to pick up some steam. And I love the detective vibe that it presents, because that was something that I was wondering if we were gonna get enough of. And I'm not sure, well, I'll speak a little bit later towards the difference between the other film and this film, but I think that they presented it pretty well with how L comes in, how he kind of makes sure he hides himself and all of that good stuff. I also really like that they didn't shy away from the gore. Like they made sure that you saw these deaths and that there was blood everywhere. And it wasn't that kind of like 300 kind of like Kool-Aid-y blood, but it was just, I don't know, blood. But I mean, not real blood. Nobody got hurt in this. It was like, you know, corn syrup or something. But what I'm saying is that the blood looked real and the deaths looked kind of gruesome. And I was wondering if they were gonna shy away from these things or not, even with the first death like Kenny, or when Light kind of wanted to test his theory again against the man who had hit his mother and, you know, kind of like wrecked his and his father's life. When he, you know, pretty much killed that dude, it was not good. Now, before we get to some more good, let me remind you that you can find me at Black Hollywood Live. That's right, the first online network for African Americans, extremely dope. And you can check them out at blackhollywoodlive.com, where they have celebrity interviews, after shows, sports talk, geek, nerd, tech, the whole shebang, with live streams from day to day on youtube.com/Black Hollywood Live. So since the character the actor that played Light was not, he didn't really hit it for me, but someone who did was the young brother, that's right, Keith Stanfield that played L. He really brought, between Willem Dafoe's character and, or between Willem Dafoe's voice and Keith Stanfield playing, you know, L in a very, very particular, quirky, but very directed fashion. It brought, like I said, it brought some more quality to it. Especially a very interesting scene where we see them twice kind of face off. There's one where Light is in the cafe and he's kind of by himself, and L comes up and they have their little kind of like standoff verbally. I think that's a very strong point in the film. Another one is when he comes into his house and just straight up accuses him in front of his father, who is also a solid character actor. Kind of, it brings some gravity to the film. And it's things like that, and also things like Like Ryuk talking about, you know, people have tried to write my name in the book before, and my name has 4 letters. And the furthest they've ever got is 2. It's moments like that that make the movie shine. I also think the production quality helps the movie to shine. But of course, there are some things like Mia, who I think kind of, it's weird. Mia is good, and then she's also problematic as a character, or the way they portray her character. Because it seems like Light gets trusting way too fast for Mia, and maybe it's because they kind of condensed this into one film, where in the Japanese version, I believe they had 2 films where they kind of stretched this out, where they were able to build it a little bit more. And this, they kind of just condensed it into one, and it just seems like dude was just, he wanted something so bad, he just straight told her, just without any equivocations, like, yo, I'm the dude that's doing this. And I don't know if it's because the stuff is that good or if he wanted the stuff that much, but I felt that he was way too trusting, at least for my taste, especially with a Death Note. You know what I'm saying? So that's my issue with Mia. I feel like as a character, she was kind of weak, at least too weak to be telling her so much so soon. And then at the end, where you kind of get this situation where she fully turns, where you can kind of see she always wanted the book for herself, but they didn't. I don't feel like they gave me enough to kind of sprinkle it in. It's almost like she went from, after they were like having sex and everything, she immediately turned to like, yo, you cool and everything, but I just want the book. And during all that time, Light is like, yo, I gave you power. But anyway, shout out to Nas. But what I'm saying is, she didn't even really, of course, want him. It was the power that the book brought. And of course, it goes back to the whole God demon thing that Ryuk is kind of like, is he a friend? Is he a pet? Because there was a warning in the margin saying like, look, he is not your friend, he is not your pet, he is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. And I would have loved to read the rest of that because I'm sure other people wrote about him in that book. But it just ends up putting her in a place where she becomes very predictable, of course, towards the end. Now, all in all, I'm pretty sure you guys want to know how I feel this racks up to the other films. And I'm going to say that. But first, I got to say with the acting, with the atmosphere they provide, the way it's directed, and some pretty strong performances from Willem Dafoe and Keith Stanfield, I had to put this right at 3.5 stars. Is it a solid entry? Yeah, just about. It's worth checking out. I love the death scenes. I love Keith Stanfield in it. I love the way they portrayed Ryuk, and I loved his voice. Also, I did like when it went towards the detective angle. I loved how Watari was brought into the film, how he was, of course, taken out of the film. And I love how they kind of spun it as far as the rage inside of L when Watari was taken. So I do love those parts, but there are things like the beginning where this movie does take a while to get going. But I do think it's worth you checking out. If you're into Death Note, if you've liked the manga or the anime, I think you could get something out of this. It's a nice little adaptation. It definitely takes a spin on a couple of things, but I do think this may have worked better stretching out over 2 films like this kind of particular story, I guess, this plot line did in the Japanese versions. Now, which one do I prefer? Since the Japanese versions are the first 2 that I've seen are much older than this film, as far as production value, I'd say I prefer this film. The way they handle the relationships, I prefer the Japanese version. But I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Guys, holler at me, I'm gonna holler at you. Down in the comments, I want you to check out the live action film for Death Note, at least the first 2. Check out those, and then check out this film and come in these comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Japanese kind of storyline, the way they spread it out a little bit more, did more for the story, or do you like the truncated version that we got here? So of course, guys, before I bounce, I got to tell you to hit up ThatNERDSoul.com. That's right, check me out right there. All my videos from the oldest, newest, latest, greatest, and all of that. Then hit up shop.ThatNERDSoul.com and pick yourself up a t-shirt player, and don't forget to get one for them playettes. Then come back here, like, comment, subscribe, and share that NERDSoul. That's right, there is no better way that I can show people that you like what you are watching. So, LA, what up? VA, what up? RVA, you got my heart, and please be good to yourselves, be good to each other. And if you ever get a hold of a book that says Death Note, just bury it. Peace.